get ready for another edition of Newz and Trendz with your hosts, Dave and Lynn.
Talk to him low. How could I possibly be inconspicuous? When my flow is f***ing ridiculous. That's why an accent. See, I'm from the South.
Welcome. You're listening to another episode of Newz and Trendz with Dave and Lynn. I am Leonard Young, CEO of National Black Guide and all-around good guy. I got my partner here, Dave Coker.
Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Dave Coker with Dave Mark Inc., promoter and event planner, and I'm an even better guy than this guy.
Well, I'm even betterest guy. But we want to thank everyone for joining us. We know it is Christmas Eve. Tomorrow is a big day for a lot of families. So if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. If you do not, just happy holidays to you. And so, Dave, one of the things I was thinking about for this weekend roundup, and of course it's probably most appropriate, the only time of year we can do it, but it kind of made me think about things that I remember from Christmas, things that just kind of really stood out, whether it's like presents, activities, traditions. So for everyone listening to us, feel free to comment in, and we'll check it when we get a chance. But we're going to be talking about what are some of the things, what are the 7 things we remember the most from Christmas of any year. So, Dave, I'm going to let you go ahead and go first to, kind of kick us off.
Okay, yeah. He let me go first because he wants to see where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I do. I want to look at your list.
Well, it is that time of year, and it is, Christmas is really for kids, and so when I think about this topic that we're doing and so forth, I know when we discussed the fact that we were going to do this topic, and it is Christmas Eve, it does take me back to my childhood and make me think about some of the things that happened along the way that I felt were pretty special as Christmas time came around. So I kind of got mine listed. I'm going to start out with remembering one of my favorite Christmases. We had this kid in my neighborhood who had, his family thought they were this stuff. I hope he listens to this at some point. But he got this bike. It was a 5-speed. I remember the color was gray. And boy, he couldn't tell this kid anything. Everybody wanted to ride the bike. Everybody thought he was Mr. Popular with this bike. Everybody just thought he was the bomb with this bike. And I just remember going through watching him and whatever. I would ask him, can I have a ride on his bike? He would say no. He'd say, you need to get your own bike, or whatever the case might be. And I didn't have a bike at the time. So I just remember this one particular Christmas. My father surprised me. I had no idea this thing was coming. Now, one thing I have to preference by saying, my parents weren't rich. Matter of fact, they ended up separating when I was 11 years old. But one thing they always would do for Christmas is they would make sure that they would get us a lot of little things like coloring books and stuff like that, puzzles, because we like puzzles and board games or whatever. But they would always get one like big gift, something that was really nice, And so this particular year, and my father, I didn't know he was paying attention. My mother must have said something to him about the kid with the bike. My father goes out and buys this 5-speed bike. This thing was like a beast. It was like nobody had a bike like this. It was and one thing was unique about it. It was long. It was for a taller person, and it was purple. I just never forget this. It was a purple bike.
Okay, Prince.
And it had the banana seat, which a lot of people didn't have back then, and it had the shift was on. It had this panel shift, and it had an overdrive shift. This thing was loaded, man. I'll never forget this bike. Matter of fact, I wasn't even really, because I was probably around 10 or 11. I wasn't even really ready for this bike. You know what I'm saying?
wait, so it was before your time?
Yeah, it was before my time. My father put this bike together. We took that thing outside, and everybody forgot about the kid who had the bike. When he saw this bike, his mouth dropped open. Everybody's mouth dropped open. They said, "Oh my God, look at that bike!" I'm telling you, this was a beautiful bike. I was the king of the neighborhood with this bike, man, you know, and everybody just kept talking to me about this bike. So that was my number one Christmas.
Now, how long did that bike, like, how long were you the king with that bike?
I had that bike for a long time. I tore it up, though, I will say.
I'm
I
sure.
remember I was racing one day. I was racing him, the kid, the bike. And we had, on my street, it wasn't long. It seemed like it was long as a kid. But it was a straightaway, but then on the edge of the streets was these curves that took you on another street. So we would start at the top of the street and race to the bottom, but you had to navigate the curve.
Right.
I didn't do that too well this one particular time we were racing, and I was beating them because I shifted into low gear and I.
Hold on, honey. You didn't put in an overdrive on them?
No, I didn't need overdrive. And I passed them at the last moment. But I was going so fast I couldn't navigate the curve and went flying.
Wow.
Oh man.
We're saying you hit the haystack?
Yeah, I did. I hit the curve and went flying, man. It was not good. And I thought I messed up the bike for sure, but it was still working and everything. But my mom was so mad, man, because I scratched it up though. Yeah. It was a pretty purple, I'm telling you.
So, I mean, she didn't know you were a 10 to 13-year-old boy, and she expected that bike to be flawless.
Yeah, well, at least at that time they thought it would be, you know.
Right.
So, but that was my number one favorite Christmas gift of all time. I'm not gonna lie, that was it, you know. And I just remember how I reacted when I saw it, you know. So, because I saw the big box, but I didn't know what was in the box,
right?
You know. So.
Oh, did they have to put it together, or
he
assembled?
put it together. Yeah, it had to be put together. So, yeah. I'm gonna go with number 2. My father had a brother named Al. Al was probably like my favorite uncle at the time. He was a quiet guy, but he really loved me and my sister, and he would always pop up on our birthdays and on Christmas or whatever. And when Uncle Al came, Uncle Al brought stuff. You know, he was that guy.
I'm about to say, hence why you loved him so much.
Yeah. Uncle Al never came empty-handed. And not only did he bring stuff, he would always give us money, you know. So, and my mom used to always get on him about spoiling us all the time. But he didn't have kids of his own. So, and on my father's side of the family, it was me and my sister. And then he had another brother that had 3 girls, but they lived in New Jersey, so he didn't see them all the time at that time. He saw us a lot, and so we were his favorites. So he would always take care of us. He would always give my mom a little money, slip her money. Think I didn't see it, but I would buy him something, you know,
right.
Whatever the case may be. So my dad used to get mad at him all the time because he was showing my dad up, you know, all the time. So, but spending Christmas and when my Uncle Al would come around was really awesome, and so he was always a pleasure to see, and yeah, that was a good time when he came around. Yeah, so that was my number 2.
Gotcha. Okay, so mine are in no particular order. So one of the things I always think about, because now I just despise it so much, but putting up Christmas trees. You know, like, and I mean, they're a lot easier now, but I can honestly say I find no joy in putting up or taking down Christmas trees. I don't even find joy carrying it to the garage and carrying out the garage, because I just throw it in the garage when it's time.
Wow.
But, you know, one of the memories that I have, and it's always so funny when I tell people, they always laugh. So you probably remember back in the day, Christmas trees weren't ready assembled like they are now, where you pull them out of the box. You had to put every branch in the tree,
like that.
And the branches,
and they were numbered too.
Oh, so yours are numbered. So like mine were
color,
yep.
Coded.
So the tips were color coded. So like orange would be the longest ones. You put them at the bottom. Yellow would be the shortest ones. You put it at the top. And my dad would always have me put up the Christmas tree, and I hated it. It was just, it was just a pain. Like, I just want the presents. Like, that's why I'm here. So I just remember one year after Christmas, I wasn't trying to take it down. He didn't ask me to take it down. We had a Christmas tree that stayed up all year. We had a Christmas tree that stayed up all year long until
the next Christmas.
Yeah, because they, when it started getting October, it's just like, well, it's already there, might as well leave it. So, that's one. Two, and my parents were divorced. They divorced when I was 6, so I definitely learned how to milk that best of both worlds for Christmas. And so my mom, and she very giving. So, I already knew what I was getting from my mom because it was basically whatever I asked for. And I remember one year she got me a stereo, and it was exactly what I wanted. She got the stereo with the big speakers. The center console had the 2 tape decks, the record player up top, the space down bottom, the whole stuff. And so she let me, so I think maybe I was going to my mom's house the following weekend, so the weekend before Christmas. She let me open up the stereo and play with it for like one night. So, of course, I took the speakers out the box, took them up. I took the center console out. I'm trying to play a record. I'm trying to play tapes. I'm trying to like high-speed dub.
Record and all
I'm trying to do all that. Yeah. And so, I go home or I go to my dad's house. And when I come back the next time and I can open a present, she put everything back into the box and wrapped everything back up. And I reopened it on Christmas. I mean, it was just so, like, I would have thought she would have left it out, maybe put it in the box, but she wrapped it all up. So, like, I always remember that, thing about Christmas.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, well, I know my mom would have never rewrapped it. I can tell you that for sure.
Neither would my kids, Dad.
Looking at my next one was going to my grandmother's house. Wow. My grandmother always did all this cooking. Good Lord, she did a lot of cooking. And she always had a bunch of desserts. And like, it'd be chocolate cake, it'd be coconut cake, it'd be pies, it'd be the chocolate icing and white icing cakes. Back then, when I don't know if you remember when they made their own frosting, so that would be the cake when you sit it out and you go to cut it and it had that little crunch to the frosting.
Crumble.
Yeah, you don't get that anymore with the icing, so. But she did all this cooking. Now my grandmother lived in Southbridge, and it's funny. The house seemed kind of big to us back then, but it was really a small house. And all of my family, cousins and everything, we'd be in and out on Christmas Day all day long, So, and it was just a thing, just watching her, just sit there and she just loved her family, and she just wanted to be around her family. She didn't say a lot. She was a quiet person.
Right.
But, you knew she was happy because her family was there, So that was always a great memory for me, is going to my grandmother's house around on the Christmas holiday and just watching and just being with the family. So that was important. My next one has to do with, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, that one special gift that my parents would get. They wouldn't make they wouldn't tell us what it was going to be, and they wouldn't make a big deal out of it, but they always found out something that we really, really wanted, and they would secretly get it. Santa Claus would get it there. Oh yeah, that's right. Santa Claus would get it there, and we would wonder, because back then we believed in Santa Claus, of course. And we didn't have a chimney, so my mom used to, some of the stories they would tell us. And
I was going to say, y'all probably didn't ask too many questions about it either.
No, we didn't ask too many questions. I remember waiting up at night, waiting for Santa to come, and how he used to climb through the upstairs window at night and so forth, and then take the gifts downstairs and put them under the tree. So, but I just remember the one gift, if we kind of mentioned through the year, because it could be something we might have said like in March.
Back in summertime.
Yeah, or April sometime. But they would record it in their mind or write it down. So, okay, that's what we're going to get them. So.
And I was about to say, hopefully March to December, that's still a gift you want.
Yeah. Well, whether it was or not, we were gonna get
We say you have no choice. You got to get this present.
Yeah, and I think about some of those gifts, like the bike, and another, there was this card that they had gotten when I was young and that everybody loved, and there was a couple others. I even with clothes, because I wasn't one of those guys that didn't mind getting clothes, and I remembered this. I wanted this suit for graduation, this one for elementary school graduation, and I had my eye on this suit, and they bought it for me for Christmas. And that was like, and there was toys and everything there, but that was the thing that I was so happy about because I wanted to wear that suit to the graduation.
Who are you trying to impress?
Whatever one was looking.
Right.
I was sharp that day. I ain't gonna lie, I was sharp that day.
Gotcha.
So that was another memory for me.
Were those you two? Yeah, that was you two, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So mine. So my number 3 and 4 are very close to the same. But so when I was young, and maybe not even young, but just little, my dad used to work. He had a job. He used to sell Amway. So it's so funny because like you always hear the stories about people with basements full of products.
Yeah.
That was my dad.
Yeah.
We had a basement full of products. So when Christmas came, that was one of the times to unload some of those basement full of products. So yeah, so I just remember him bringing up soaps, powders, lotions. They did have some like kid items and some. And I remember he put them all on our dining room table. It was just me and him. And he'd leave me to wrap all these presents. And most of them were little. So at least with the big ones, you feel like you're doing something. Wrapping up a Banaka spray,
That's a pain in the butt.
didn't feel like you were doing anything. But, I just always remember that. And I think I'm a pretty good gift wrapper now just because I wrapped so many darn gifts, then. And then on the flip side of that, so my number 4 is, so then we would usually always go to my Aunt Catherine's house. And when it was time to give out the gifts, it was so funny because, and they don't do it like this anymore, but everybody would get a gift from everybody. So let's say we had 30 people in the house, like you were buying 30 gifts. Wow. And I mean, they weren't always, like I remember I had a cousin, I knew what my gift was every year. 2 lottery tickets. So I mean, like, they were different, but I just remember, so like, let's say it was me and my like 8 cousins, we all got, like, when one person opened their thing, I knew exactly what I was getting. Like I had the aunt that gave the gift card with some money in it every year. I had the cousin or aunt who gave some socks and underwear it's so funny because everything was so predictable. But I just remember going over there and it's like I just knew they went to like the value bin, bought, whatever it is. So, I always remember that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And it's funny. I can relate to that a little bit with that type of setting and so forth. But see, these type of memories are priceless, and it's something that you want to hold on to because of how special those times were back then. I look at my number 5 on my list was something very simple: Christmas dinner. My mother would go all out, just like for Thanksgiving. My mother would go out and go all out for Christmas dinner. And she would cook, and then she would bake desserts, and and just sitting around the table eating. Sometimes we would have other family members that would drop by, and it was always just like very festive time, and just watching my mother laugh and have a good time. Boy, I know your mother has passed, my mother's passed, and what I wouldn't give just to have that moment again, just to watch her. And because my mother was a very big family person, and just to watch her around, sitting around, even if it was just me and my sister,
Mm-hmm.
or if it was, sometime we would have some of her nieces or somebody would stop by, whatever. And no matter who was there, she was just happy, So Christmas dinner was definitely a big thing for us, yes.
Yeah, I definitely, I always think now, it's a shame we can't cherish some of those memories. I'm sorry, not cherish. It's a shame we can't recreate some of those memories, because even when I think about it, I'm like, I didn't value, as a kid,
Yeah.
you don't value those things until you're older, and some of those people aren't around anymore.
Let me say this to you, and that's a good thing that you just said that, because just talking about that just then kind of made me a little emotional.
me too. I'm like Dave. Like, I'm over here about to cry thinking about my mom and all that stuff.
Because and for anyone who's listening, they would be able to. I hope you understand where I'm coming from when I say that, because when you have that type of moment in your life and you share that with the people that you care about, and especially, if they're no longer here, those type of moments really are something that you try to hold on to and so forth. And that dinner.
And a lot of times there's things that you'll never forget.
No.
Can I say something super duper quick?
Yeah.
So there was something on social media about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and there's two things I thought were great. One, they were saying, like, and I agree, I should be doing myself, the elders in our families, we all have phones. We need to be getting their stories, finding out their history, almost like interviewing them, because they're not always going to be around. And these pictures and videos are going to be things we cherish. And then two, they were talking about, like you talked about how your mom or your grandma used to cook. We need to make sure these recipes get passed down, because, a lot of these like recipes that our parents are doing are getting lost because our generation is eating out, eating Chinese food for Christmas and stuff like that. So I just want to throw that in real quick. I thought they were.
You must be in my head, because what you just said is what I'm about to talk about.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, shoot.
Okay. So see, me and this guy, we have a great friendship. So we, and we kind of feed off each other a lot. So for him to even say what he just said is really touching to me, because I'm getting ready to go there right now. So my next memory.
Hold on, Dave. Don't have us crying up here, okay?
I know. Well, I'm going to try not to shed a tear here. It is a holiday season. It happens. So. But my next thing was, my mom used to make this thing called an applesauce cake, and it was to die for. My favorite thing. I'm telling you, every year she would only make it 2 times a year: Thanksgiving.
What, your
Christmas.
birthday? Oh, Christmas.
And Christmas. If I asked for one on my birthday, she would make a little small one, This cake was so popular in my family, and she got the recipe from, it's an old recipe. Matter of fact, I go online and look at the recipe now. I look at people's version of it. I always laugh, because I knew what my mom would put in the cake. And, but it's an old recipe that she got from her mother, but my mother, and her mother used to make it, but my mother perfected it and made it better than her mom did. So I had family members that fought over this cake. I'll tell you a funny story real quick. My mother was one of 12 children, so she had a lot of nieces and nephews, and we were all close when I was coming up. A lot of them were older than me, but they were, and my mother were close to, she was close to all of them, but this one particular one, my cousin Doris, my mom was really close. And Doris was one of 10 children herself. But Doris and my mom were really, really tight. But she was tight with all of Doris' siblings too. But them two were really, really tight. So when the holidays would come around, Doris would always get in my mom's ear about these applesauce cakes. So my mom she would make, like, put them in the loaf pans and make like about 5 or 6 of those. And then she would make one big one, in a round, because they usually look like a bundt cake, And so she would keep that for us, but she'll make the loaf pans and send them out to her nieces or whatever if they wanted. And a couple of them would always order these cakes. Well, this one particular Christmas, I'll never forget it. My mom said, I don't feel like doing all that baking this year. I'm going to make the one cake for us and maybe 2 loaf pans, and that's it. I'm not, and sometimes she would make her nieces pay because it's a lot of work to do one of these cakes. I mean, because there's a lot that goes into it. And so what happened was she did the cake, and she said she wasn't giving anybody any cake. She was keeping all the cakes. So then my cousin Doris comes by and says, I know you made some cakes, Auntie. Where's the cakes? And my mom said, I didn't make any cakes. Well, she had made them. She hid them in the refrigerator. Doris goes into the refrigerator and finds the cake and sneaks one in her bag and takes one of the cakes. Right? So I see her doing something. I didn't know what she was doing, but I see her doing something. So she leaves. About an hour later, I hear my mom just falling out laughing. And I said, what you laughing about? She said, that Doris, she took one of those cakes, right? I said, is that what she was doing? I said, I saw her doing something. And she hurried up and ran out the house when she left. And so my mom calls Doris up on the phone, and she's fussing at her about the cake or whatever. But they're laughing about it, So she said, don't you dare say anything to your sisters about that cake, because I told them I wasn't making cakes this year. So don't you dare say anything. Why did my mom start getting all these phone calls from all of her siblings saying, how come Doris got an applesauce cake and we didn't get one?
Doris done spilt the beans.
She was over there eating and somebody saw the cake.
Somebody saw it and they knew.
Yeah, they knew where it came from. So, but that's the kind of stuff that went on with these cakes, and these cakes were excellent. Matter of fact, I just asked a friend of mine, we were talking, they're a baker, and I said, you ever make an applesauce cake? She said, well, I've heard of it. And I said, have you ever made one though? And she said, well, I'm sure I can make it. I mean, I can make anything. I said, can you really make it though? Because, I said, I've had other people attempt to make this cake and they couldn't make it. They make it, it turns into more of a ginger, it's kind of like a ginger cake, but it's got walnuts and raisins in it, and it has like a cream cheese icing on it.
Oh, okay.
It is really good. It's moist and it's really good. So she said, I'm going to attempt to do it. And I said, okay, all right, but I'm going to give you my honest opinion if you do it, right? So, whatever. So, that was the thing. This cake, and just watching the family fight over this cake was really, my sister was here. My sister probably be laughing right about now when she listens to this and hears this, because she's going to remember how crazy that was back then. But that was my number 6 memory. I'm sorry it takes so long.
No, I'll have to. I've never heard of that. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, look it up. The applesauce cake. It's really good. I'm telling you. Your turn.
Oh, those are you too?
Yeah, those are too. We got
right.
emotional. And
Yeah.
Back,
Yep. So my number 5, I'm going to piggyback maybe off of your number 1, but a bike. And I don't even know how old I was, and I don't know what type of bike I had before, but when I got this bike, and it was an average bike, but it was everything to me.
Yeah.
It was blue, and to be honest, it was just the ish. And so, of course, when I got it for Christmas. It's too cold to ride it outside. It might have been snow on the ground.
We always got bikes during the wintertime. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. So I used to ride it around the house. We had an area that kind of went like around, like it kind of went around to.
He had a big house.
No, it wasn't even big, but it was like the steps to the basement, and everything else just went around it. So I just ride that thing in circles. I ride it into the kitchen.
They didn't say anything?
Oh, they weren't home. I'm doing all this while my dad ain't home. But I just love that bike. I learned how to do all my little tricks on it. So that's one. The second one, and this is piggybacking off of the tree, but untangling light bulbs. Because my dad would just throw them at me and untangle it. That's worse than a jigsaw puzzle. So we had some, and I put the big light bulbs here. The big light bulb I thought was a little bit easier than the little one.
Yeah.
Or you plug them back in and one light's missing and you don't have the replacement, and none of them work.
Yeah.
So for anyone who's listening to that who's under 30, you probably have no idea what we're talking about, and don't even worry about it. So those are my.
Remember, you had to go out and get the replacement bulbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, you guys don't know how easy you got it. Now they got all these digital stuff out there that you can do.
The bulbs already on the tree.
Already on the tree.
And I can't lie. Last year, and I didn't even put. See, this is how much I hate lights. I didn't even put them out this year. This has something called a light net. So it's a net of lights, and all you got to do is just throw it over a tree.
Okay.
Guess where it is right now?
In the garage.
Yep.
You didn't.
Nope.
She didn't say anything about that?
She probably forgot. I ain't forget. What say? Don't ask.
Have
Don't.
the kids even said anything about the tree?
Kids don't care about the tree. They did not want to put it up. We had to make them put it up. The new age kids don't care about Christmas trees. They only care about what's under the tree.
Wow. Amazing. Wow. Anyway, I'm going to say my last one. Wow. Goes back to my mom again. We always had black and white TVs when I was growing up. It was just something that the time and, the people that had the color TVs were people that had money and so forth. I didn't grow up that way. Matter of fact, I remember buying my first color TV, and I was in my 20s when I got my first color TV, and I bought it myself. And I was still living with my mom at the time.
Was it a 13-inch?
No, it was a 19-inch.
Okay, all right.
It was a 19-inch. I got it from JCPenney with a charge card. My first charge card, it was a JCPenney card, and I bought a VCR and the TV. Spent more money then than I paid for my 52-inch flat screen TV in my bedroom.
Now?
Yes,
I'm sure.
I paid more money then than I did now. So, remember, I wanted to do something different from my mom. My mom had, at this time, we had moved out. Me and my sister had moved out. My mom had moved into a senior citizen high-rise home and was living by herself. And she still had a black and white TV. And I decided that I was going to buy her a color TV. I didn't tell her. I didn't let her know what was going on. I just remembered saying to her, I got something for you for Christmas I think you're going to like. And taking it over to her house. And when I walked through the door with this television, she just cried. She said, "Is that what I think it is?" I said, "Yes, it's a color TV." It was a 27-inch TV.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you talking about money?
Yeah.
That's money right there.
Well, actually, I didn't spend a lot. I got
booster. One of the boosters?
No, not this time. I wish I had found a booster at that time. A guy, I used to sell men's suits, and the guy that was a customer of mine had just bought this TV, and he had it for about a month. He realized he didn't need it because it was supposed to be a gift for somebody else, and something happened, and he already had a bunch of TVs in the house. So he was talking about it to me one day, and I said, "Are you interested in selling it?" And he told me, "Yeah." So I paid $100 for this TV.
Oh, wow.
Brand new Zenith, brand new TV. And
probably weighed about 80 pounds.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, it was a big TV, and I just remember taking it over my mom's house and putting it on her stand, and she just cried. I'd never forget that. And she just, and my mother did two things. She talked on the phone because that was her favorite thing to do: is talk to her family and talk to people on the phone, and watch TV. And boy, when she got that color TV, you couldn't tell her. It had a remote control.
Oh Lord! Hold on. Wired or wireless?
No, wireless remote.
Oh wow! Okay.
First one she ever had, the wireless remote. Because we had other TVs that had the box.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, "I can't believe you bought this." And I said, "Well, you never had one, and I wanted to do something special, and I knew this would be something that you really would enjoy." And so just seeing her face and being able to please her that way, and just being able to have the means to be able to do that for, that really made my day, So, and it made her day, and it was probably one of the fondest memories I have of her, is how she reacted.
Yeah.
To that, so.
No, I mean, I definitely get it. She was probably in debt to you. What did she ramp up the baking skills every time you came?
No. Because that applesauce, I couldn't budge her on the applesauce cake. She was gonna make those when she wanted.
Right.
So, but she didn't owe me for that. That was just something I owed her.
Right.
So yeah.
Commendable, sir.
Yeah.
All right. I have some space upstairs. I could use an extra color TV. So when one comes up that someone's giving away, they don't need it because they got too many TVs. Let me know.
I'll email it to you.
Okay. So my last one is, and I just remember this every year too. So my mom used to work at Avon. She worked at Avon right up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
So every year, Avon would have a Christmas store. So around the holidays, all the Avon parents, they would bring their kids, and you may got like 30 tickets, and you could go in the Avon store and they had a whole bunch of Avon products. But so if anyone's not familiar with Avon, of course, we think of the cosmetics and the lotions and all, Skin So Soft. But they also had toys and, they had some other stuff, and they had a little booklet. So I'd always be flipping through the booklet, and she got like a great discount. But I just remember every year they're going, like thinking I was, the man, because I was coming out there with presents that I'd give to like my brother, my mom. Now,
did you have to pay for these things? Or?
Yeah, with tickets.
With tickets.
Yeah, so I think all the kids got like 30 tickets. Maybe your parent. What I think it is, I think your parents bought tickets, and then they gave them to you, and then you feel like you're the man flashing tickets. So like I always remember that, and and so I don't know places that do that anymore. So like I know my kids. Well, I mean, I guess I'm self-employed, so I'm not taking nowhere, but. I feel like they used to also do that at school too, where, throughout the year for good behavior, you get little tickets, and then they have like a little book fair or a school store where you could buy stuff for your parents around Christmas. I don't think they do that anymore, but I just always remember that because that's the only way my mom got presents every year from me because, I didn't have any money. So I always remember that. And it's just interesting that they don't have that anymore. So.
Yeah, I know with my kids, I know one of my kids, there was a situation like that where they can go into the store and buy stuff like that. Yeah. They don't really do those type of things anymore. It's just a whole different world with these kids anymore. And of course, a lot of the kids aren't interested in that anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, it's funny. I asked my kids, I'm like, okay, well, what did you get me for Christmas? They're like, you didn't give me your list. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll give you it's too late now. And I'm like, okay.
It's scary to say this, but, we just talked about a lot of Christmas memories. It's something that we hold on to. As you can hear, we talk with a lot of passion in our voices and so forth about the things that we call memorable, our list and so forth. Unfortunately, it's a shame that a lot of the young people today will not have this conversation ever, as an adult, because they have not chosen to keep the memories alive. And it's a shame because they live in the moment, and the moment is only what's important to a lot of these young people nowadays. No matter how hard you try to get them to try to keep things in perspective and to try to understand that Christmas, family, creating moments and keeping them alive, just like what you said about the elders and everything, and being able to get a hold of some of the things. I remember when I was in high school doing time capsules. We did a couple time capsules, and
Dave, you're showing your age on that one.
I know, and this is a perfect time to do that type of stuff with the technology and everything we have now. Just think about doing time capsules now with the technology, and people opening them up in 20, 25 years and seeing what's there and still be able to use that stuff.
So hopefully somebody left me some Bitcoin. I'm serious.
You saw the drop on Bitcoin?
I mean,
I saw 57,000.
But I mean, it's dropping, but it's going to go back up. But I'm just thinking, okay, you give somebody $100 of Bitcoin, you put it in a time capsule?
Yeah, but what is it going to be worth? Because it's going to be something new and better at that time. So what do you think it's going to be worth?
What the
only thing holds that kind of value still is money.
I mean, stock.
And stock.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, some stock.
No. Yeah, some. Not.
Let's say
wait, let's say go out of business.
Musk or somebody like that who who could pay $11 million in taxes.
Billion.
11 billion.
Yeah,
that's
billion.
right. $11 billion in taxes and still be a billionaire.
Right.
That's crazy. So,
No, because he gonna get it back next year.
Yeah, he'll get it back.
But I definitely agree with you too, and I think it's funny because with all the technology we have, the video calls, text messaging, social media, you would think we would be able to keep in better contact with people, but the Black family specifically, like we're losing a lot of traditions. We're losing a lot of course, we're always losing a lot of people, but I wonder if it's also because of back in the day, most people probably live in the same town they grew up in. Yeah. Now people are moving all over, new families, even, and I'll just say for me, and this probably goes for everyone who has ever been married, but when you get married, okay, now you got to work out a schedule. Okay, we're going to see your family this year, my family this year. Lord forbid you get divorced, and now it's like, okay, I'm seeing this family with no kids, and now I got my, so, I just think it's one of the things where, and I agree, we need to hold on to some of these traditions, but there's difficulties in there as well.
It is important that we hold on to them and everything. And it's funny, while you were sitting here talking, I was just thinking about something. Maybe we should just take a moment and just do a video of ourselves talking to certain people.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought about that for my kids.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And just saying, look, I only want you... Look, there was a reference. Did you see... not get too far off. Did you see Power Book, the last episode?
No. Yep. Hold on.
Do you watch it?
Yeah, no, I did watch it.
You didn't watch the last one?
No, I didn't watch it this Sunday.
Okay, there's something that happens at the end.
Oh, hold on. Don't.
I'm not going to tell you because you haven't watched it.
I know, but
What?
I want to be surprised.
Okay, but I'm just saying, there's something that happens at the end that kind of fits in with what we're saying right now about recording or video.
Okay, Dave, you're saying too much.
No. You're still gonna be surprised, okay? But I'm just saying, we need to make the time. These Christmas memories and so forth that we just talked about. What if we had those on a video where we just talked about and put it on a video and say, look, I just want to share with you some of the things, during the holidays that was important to me or memorable to me. And I want you to hold on to this video or this or audio recording or whatever you do, and maybe it'll be something that they held on to even after you pass.
Yeah.
So, and now that I've talked about it, I am going to do this. I'm going to I'll probably even tell them my list. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have them listen to this show. Maybe they'll hold on to it.
Yeah. Tell them to like it, comment and share it too.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
I agree. If I could say one last thing, my mom passed away in 2014. And at one point when I switched phones, maybe like a year ago, probably 2 years ago, 'cause I think I was still in Philly, and I got a new phone, and you know how you install programs on it? One of the programs I installed on there was called Umail, which was like a voicemail service, probably just more flexible than the one that came with the phone. And there was a message on there from when I had the account. You know how you can log into old? There was a message on there that my mom had left me. Wow. And I didn't know if I could listen to it or not, because it's, it's just one of those things. I mean, I did listen to it. I cried. But, it's one of those things where, now I deleted that app off my phone. So unless that app goes out of service, I know that I can reload that and listen to it again. But it's kind of like what you said about being able to hear memories.
And that's unique because I wish that I could have a message left on my phone from when my mother. I would love to hear her voice.
Yeah, and even so, I'm thinking the kids, and we going way, but even the kids nowadays. So like one of the things I always think about is video cameras weren't as accessible now. No. So like nowadays I can do videos with my kids, put them on social media. They can probably always see them. I don't have any videos of my dad, like me and my dad doing stuff. I don't have any videos. So, I mean, the kids, like, the youngins now are lucky and fortunate, and they don't realize it just because they don't know what it's like not to have it.
Yeah, and look, when I coming up, there was hardly any video. But them camcorders, the back in my day,
Yeah,
I
the
did
shoulder
a video.
busters.
I was in the Upper Bound program. We did a video. We did a time capsule, a video, and we put some stuff in the time capsule because I was one of the first freshmen they ever let in that program, and we did this whole show about doing a time capsule. And I would love to see that video now, but they said that they put it in the archives for the Upper Bound program.
Ah.
But I have, you know what? I'm going to
Yeah,
say
you might
they
have to
it.
check on that.
Yeah, I have to check on that. But anyway, but we want to thank everybody for listening to our show today. As you can see, it's quite easy to get caught up in a subject like this, and for all of you guys that have memories like this, if you want to share with us, go to our Facebook page. You can put something in our Facebook page. We're on a lot of platforms nowadays, so you can listen to this show. You can always comment at any time, and the Christmas is Saturday coming tomorrow, so we want to make sure that you guys are going to have a wonderful Christmas and safe Christmas. And whatever you do, folks, make it memorable. Whatever you do. And hold on to it. Because as you can hear from the conversation we just had, we forget to make them memorable. So I want to thank my partner.
Yeah, definitely. And Dave, I hope you have a Merry Christmas.
And the same to you, sir, and you and your family. And, I will say one of the biggest gifts that I ever had was meeting this guy. So, and he wasn't expecting me to say that, but I am going to say that.
Pay me in cash, sir.
Okay.
Oh, no, pay me in Bitcoin.
Well, okay.
Pay me in
Until that
Bitcoin.
comment, one of the biggest gifts I ever had was meeting this guy. So,
All right, I appreciate it, sir.
okay. All right. So, with that, we're going to say good night, and we'll talk to you soon.
And Merry Christmas.
Tune in next week, ladies and gentlemen, for another edition of Newz and Trendz with your hosts, Dave and Lynn.